Hey, all you Yinzers out there, welcome back to DIY Net. Thought we'd do a little follow-up on the Greene and Greene style garden gate, just wrap up a few things. First of all, I don't think that I would do the Morrison tenon joints on the corners again. Here's an example of doing it the other way I mentioned, where you put dowels through and glue them together. This is a lot easier. I actually did another gate, a real small one that I didn't photograph, for the front porch of my house, and I did it this way. This is not even glued, and I can't move it at all. So I'm not sure that doing that whole Morrison tenon thing was worthwhile. So any gates I do in the future, I'm just going to use the dowel method. So that was the first thing. Something I didn't mention. If you were going to make multiple gates, you might want to make templates out of hardboard masonite probably, and use them as a guide to use a router to make those indents in the slats. This way you'd be able to repeat them over and over again. It would just make it easier. You wouldn't have to do as much cleanup with the sandpaper and chisels and spoke shave and such. I would still make the poster board templates first and use that to lay out the templates on the hardboard, on the masonite, and then go from there. So just something to think about if you're planning on making a lot of gates. I didn't mention this, but obviously this is not a security gate. This is not going to keep anybody out of your yard. It's decorative. It will keep your animals in. It may keep your children from running out in the street, but it's really there for decorative purposes. So if you do build this, just keep in mind that you're not going to get high security out of it. Something I should have done when I was laying out the scrap, what I should have done is cut. There was a 1-inch gap between each slat, and I should have just cut a piece of a block of wood 1 inch wide. And when I laid it out, I should just put that in there to do it. It would have made it a lot easier than doing a lot of measurements. So I don't know why I didn't think of it at the time, because I'm always doing stuff like this, but I forgot about it. So that's one thing that I could have done differently. As far as how long it took, I had about, not including the installation, I had somewhere between 25 and 30 hours involved in it. I did it kind of in little pieces because I had other things going on. If you had just steadily worked on it, you probably could have cut that down a little bit. When you stop and start things, it tends to take, the total elapsed time to do it tends to be longer than if you steadily bang away at it. So, but that's how long it took. And it took about 3 hours to put the gate itself up. And I put some other fence pieces in for my daughter while I was doing it, so that took another 2 or 3 hours. But the installation wasn't too bad. Of course, it depends on what kind of soil you have. At her house, the soil was pretty loose. It was clay, but it dug pretty good. So I didn't have much trouble digging the holes, but if you have rocks and something, it may take you a little longer. And in regard to the cost of this, we ended up spending about $380 for the gate itself and for the portal. So I think that's a fairly reasonable amount of money, considering that you could never buy a gate that looked like this commercially, and you'd have to have somebody make it, and I'm sure you wouldn't be talking about $400, you'd probably be talking about thousands. So I think we did pretty well in regard to the cost. So that's just the wrap up on it. Just as always, I appreciate you watching, and I'd also appreciate if you'd pass the word on to anybody else who might be interested to take a look at the channel. We can always use, well, actually we're desperate for more subscribers and more viewers, so would greatly appreciate any help you can give us in that regard. So we'll see you next time. Thank you again.